Life change stories are what it's all about. It helps to bring encouragement, to guide us, to direct us, and even inspire us to maybe find our own story within hearing another person's story. So today, we're going to hear a life change story from a dear brother in Christ, a brother in Celebrate Recovery, as he shares just a little snippet of what Christ has done in his life through Celebrate Recovery. Welcome to Hope and Recovery. This is a Fellowship Celebrate Recovery podcast that shares hope, healing for our mental, spiritual, emotional, and relational journey through life change stories and recovery topics, all centered around the Beatitudes in Matthew chapter 5 and the Celebrate Recovery principles, where Jesus helps us to face our hurts, implores us to face our hurts, and face those nasty hang-ups, those core beliefs of how we see ourselves, God, and others, and even our circumstances, and those habits that can get us stuck, maybe defenses or protections, and ultimately deal with the broken relationships as a result. I'm a grateful believer in Jesus Christ. I struggle with drugs and alcohol and perfectionism. My name is Rodney. I'm the ministry leader and pastor of Celebrate Recovery here at Fellowship Bible Church, Celebrate Recovery in Rogers. And hey, welcome. So glad to have you back with us today. I'm excited about today's topic. A brother in Christ has agreed to come on and have a conversation, hearing a little bit about his story. And so grateful to welcome on Matt. Welcome, Matt.
Thank you for having me, Rodney.
Yeah. So introduce yourself the way you do in CR, man, and we'll jump into a conversation.
Yeah, I'm a grateful believer in Jesus. Struggle with lust, anxiety, codependency, low self-esteem, and my name is Matt.
Hey, Matt. So, Matt, I know bits and pieces of your story and some pretty good God moments in your story, and I appreciate you coming on to share because I think it'll bless people. But man, kind of, we talk about Celebrate Recovery. We have these things that bring us in to Celebrate Recovery, and at the very root of it, it is our pain. Maybe we are looking at the habits that got us, that have caused havoc, but it's really the core foundation is the hurt that leads to our behaviors and our habits. So, man, walk us through. We all have a lot of hurt, but there was a couple significant events in your life that kind of brought you into this place of recovery. Can you kind of walk us through to kind of paint a picture of what the hurt looked like in Matt's life, man?
Absolutely, yeah. And I might start by saying that, I came into CR because of what I thought was just an addiction to pornography. And sort of little did I know that there's a root for me anyway. I won't say we, but for me, there's a root.
No, I think that's a fair statement. Yeah.
And so yeah, that's what brought me into CR was I had this habit I could not kick, or I thought I couldn't kick with pornography. And that habit was picked up when I was a kid. When I was 7 or 8 years old. This is maybe jumping just right in, I guess.
No, that's all right. Yeah.
My brother and I have an uncle that we would stay with from time to time, and he one weekend decided that it was time for us to learn about the birds and the bees, and part of that was introducing us to pornography, and he made it seem like this is what everybody does. Every guy. This is just what you do as you become a teenager and kind of throughout life. Or that's how I heard it anyway. And so he introduced this thing to me to us that was like, whoa, okay, what's going on here? But then he also that night, as we were woke us up as we were sleeping and abused my brother and I. And so these two things happened where this new world was introduced to me. I guess two new worlds were introduced to me. One was this kind of weirdly exciting thing that I didn't know anything about and was too young to know anything about. And then this other world of, well, here's this guy that was safe or is supposed to be safe, and he is doing this thing that does not feel right or good. And so it was like this thing happened, but now I know how to go soothe myself or how to escape this other world of pornography that he introduced me to. And so, so that,
well, I was going to say, I mean, that's hard, and I appreciate your vulnerability with that, man. And I think it's what's so important in that is we're trying to make sense of the good reasons why we do what we do, not to justify our behavior. And sometimes we feel like, oh, are you justifying? No, we're not justifying, but we're trying to understand the good reasons why.
Right.
And so here's a 7-8-year-old introduced to something that he's not supposed to be introduced to. And so it unlocks this part of you that is supposed to be a gift from God.
Right.
And here the enemy comes in and hijacks this gift.
Right.
And now you're kind of introduced to this, and you're seeing and experiencing things that I would imagine creates a ton of confusion, shame in that. Or what were you experiencing that, if you're trying to put some words to that?
I think shame, yes. I think just my world was kind of, I don't really know what to, I mean, that's hard for an 18, 28-year-old, whatever, to process, let alone an 8-year-old. So
was that 8-year-old feeling good about himself? Was he feeling bad about himself?
No, I remember feeling bad about myself. And I also remember my brother and I did not talk about this. So we didn't know that it had happened to each other until we got into our 30s and we finally talked about it. And so, which that then created in me this sense of, well, I'm broken.
Can't let anybody know about this or
right,
into this.
Right.
Yeah.
Wow. I also thought my uncle saw something in me and not my brother that he thought he could do this to me. So I'm the weaker, I'm the lesser. We're identical twins, for those that don't know, I suppose. And so I saw my brother as like he's the standard, and I'm just trying to catch up to him.
Yeah.
And so that I had that thought or that mindset for as long as I can remember. And so when this happened, it sort of affirmed or confirmed that thought in me that. I was talking to somebody the other day about this, and I said it was a toy. It was like a toy maker, and I was the first. What's the word? I was the first toy that he made, and then he got it right with my brother, toy number 2.
Oh wow!
So I've got all the mistakes and the weaknesses and their discoloration and whatever else.
Wow, so that's a lot. That's a lot for a 7-8-year-old. I mean, you're talking about a 7-8-year-old can't process that, but isn't that amazing that even as a 7-8-year-old, which I mean, we have a greater understanding than we realize in those childhood years, those growing up years, that you had a pretty good picture of shame. Yeah. You couldn't call it shame. Right. It's like, well, this is shame that I'm dealing with. Right. But man, what a hard place. And so not only, and this is so significant that it's not just what happens to us, it's that no one can be there for me, right? Which kind of adds to that traumatic experience, right? So you're carrying this now as a 7-8-year-old, really most of your life, right? I can't let anybody know about this, including my brother, which you're pretty close to your brother.
We are.
Right? And just watching your relationship, it's a sweet relationship. But man, that kind of articulates the kind of the severity and the weight that kid was carrying, and it kind of a sad place. Yeah. So man, you're carrying that. You're trying to mask that. Try to act like there's nothing there. Did this happen multiple times? Was it
was a couple times over the span of a few months, probably.
Yeah.
I don't know why it was just twice, and I don't know.
And even just twice, right? It's
yes. Right.
Yeah. No, I get what you're saying. I mean, thank God it didn't happen more, but once is too many.
Right.
Right. So man, so you carry this that your uncle's abused you a couple times, and you're carrying this. How did this? Obviously, you've already let us into pornography became a part of your life now. did pornography kind of take off immediately, pretty rampant from that point forward, or was it delayed, or what did that look like?
There was a slight delay, maybe, just because of access.
Yeah.
But
A little bit different back then.
a little bit different back then. Yes,
Yeah.
I'm old enough to
Didn't
say
have
that.
the internet. Yeah.
But I can remember, even as a kid, my TV in my room, it got the fuzzy channels, and so there was some access at night, and then we got a family computer, and for whatever reason we put it in my room, and so internet access became pretty readily available at that point, and so because I had this low self-esteem or low view of myself, I just knew how to go back to escape to the world of the internet and pornography. And so when I was feeling bad about myself, I can even remember in 8th grade, which is funny now to talk about, but we had a who's who voting, class clown, most likely to succeed. And my twin brother won best looking. And so now it's funny now, and he brings it up every now and then.
You're like, wait, what?
Yeah,
We look identical.
but I again that confirmed that, well, he's the better twin, and so that happened and just crushed me, which is funny to say now. But after that crushing, I thought, well, I can still go back to my computer, and I can soothe myself via the world of the internet.
That will bring me comfort, and I will be somebody there, which is just a lie from the enemy. But It is interesting how he kind of hooks us in, that we talked about that. Just if you're feeling weak, I'll make you feel strong.
Right.
If you're feeling hurt, I'll bring you comfort. Here's some solutions. And it's like, that's not a good place.
Yeah.
So as if that wasn't enough, you're carrying that. You're now deep in pornography addiction, trying to make sense of these doors that have been open, and the enemy's hijacked even what sexuality is. But then there was a little bit later in life, there was another event, as if that wasn't enough, but there was another significant event that a lot of people don't know about. But what was that other big event in your life, man?
Right. So I was in my 20s at this point, about 10, 11 years ago, and I had just started teaching in West Texas, Midland, Texas, at a classical school called Midland Classical Academy. And every year this school took a trip we called the Adventure Club trip, and it was Labor Day weekend. So we had 1 week of school, and then that following Monday off, and so by my recollection, it was whoever was organizing the trip would just say, hey, we're going to go to this location, and we're going to spend a couple nights, and we're going to hike, and open to students, staff, and parents. So my thought was, it's my first week at this school. I know nobody. So, and we were going to Zion National Park. And so I thought, man, what a great opportunity to get to know some people, but then also to see some really pretty country. So, the plan was to leave we left around 1 p.m. on a Friday. We were going to drive through the night, get to Zion, and just start hiking. So that we had, 40 to 50 people, all caravanning, in multiple, Suburbans or whatever. And so in my vehicle, it was myself, a dad, and then 4 students. And around 9 p.m., I took over driving, and my brother and I both we get lost. We can get lost in our childhood neighborhood.
That's me. I'm the same way.
So we figure it out eventually. But so we're driving. I get us separated from the pack. We're still going towards Zion. We're just on a different road than everyone else. So everyone falls asleep in my car, 10 o'clock, 10:30. And I'm just kind of making miles. I've got 2 Red Bulls that I'm waiting to open until 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock in the morning. But anyway, so sometime around 1:30, 2 a.m., there's nobody on this road. It's just me. And no music's playing, nothing. I wind up falling asleep driving, and I wake up because I'm hitting the rumble strips on the right side of the road. So that jerks me awake, and we're going about 75 miles an hour. And so I jerk the car back, on the left side. And as I do that, I overcorrect too hard. So I jerk the car back right. And when I do that, that's the last thing I remember. I mean, now after the fact, I know that the Suburban began to flip. I got knocked out. And so I wake up, and I mean, I can still remember how I felt and what I saw, but I woke up and it's just dark, and I'm looking at a windshield that is just completely shattered. And I remember thinking, where am I? Who put me in this car that's not mine? And why did they put me in the driver's seat? And I looked behind me, and I know now that it was one of the boys that from the accident. And but I remember saying help, and somebody came and kind of let me out, or got me out of the car and walked me to another boy who was laying down, and I remember him looking up at me smiling, and I just kept asking what happened, and this guy that helped me out just was very vague, and whatever happened, it can't be undone, stuff like that. And I just kind of thought, all right, that tells me nothing.
Yeah, I'm still confused. Yeah.
So eventually, and because I don't really, I mean, things were foggy. So by eventually, I mean, either 5 minutes or an hour, I don't know.
Yeah.
Paramedics come, we get this boy and I get in the back of this ambulance, and I asked the paramedic, I said, what happened? And he just very bluntly says, I'm going to tell you right now, 2 people are dead. And so he said the word dead, and it came like a flood of memories of what happened. I guess I thought I was the one driving. I fell asleep, and now 2 people are dead. So because of me, 2 people are dead. And I just start shivering.
Going into shock.
Oh,
I
yeah.
imagine.
Oh, yeah. And I, in the accident, I lost my phone. And so I grabbed the dad, Cliff was his name. His phone was on the side of the road with me. So I just grabbed that real quick, and I text everybody, hey, big accident, Tuba City, emergency room is where we're going. And so, not having my phone, I knew my brother's number off the top of my head, and that's it. You think about it now, nobody knows those numbers because there's no reason to.
Yeah.
And so, anyway, we get there, and getting admitted into the ER, I knew I was with Colby, and he was fine, and I knew Cliff was okay-ish. And so I'm trying to think about who these, So I in the ER, I learned that Bryce Kerrigan and Bob Henson were the 2 boys that passed away, and which was just, I remember I was laying in the ER, and I'm crying. I don't know anybody. People are starting to come in. I don't know who these people are because it's my first week. And I remember thinking selfishly, I'm going to jail for the rest of my life because I wanted to go on this dumb trip to Utah. And so that, that was in my brain I can remember thinking, how do I get out of this? How can I, this guy that killed 2 boys, how can I, I guess I need to run away, and I'll probably never see my family again. Or,
wow.
I mean, even thoughts of ending my life in my head. And, it just was a lot. And then
it is a lot.
And then I was coughing a lot. And so they, doctors decided to do a chest x-ray to see, they thought maybe I had a collapsed lung. And, so I got this little glimmer of hope, that, probably the Lord was showing me, this is how I'm going to walk you through this process. But my ER or my x-ray tech, his name is Richard Rice. He approached me, and he's cool looking dude, super, like, just tatted up, and he had a little bit of a rough past, but he walks up and, hey, how's it going? And I said, terrible. I don't know if you know what's going on.
Yeah.
But, terrible. And he asked me, "Are you a believer?" And I said, "Yes, sir." And he said, "Can I pray for you?" And I said, "Yes." And he prayed for me. And he encouraged me to write things down over the next several months. And he said, "You're not going to want to, but it's going to help you process, and you can look back on it later." So he prayed for me and did the x-ray, go back to my holding spot there. And I was in the ER for maybe 3-4 hours and got discharged. And as I'm getting discharged, the doctor says, "Yeah, you're free to leave. By the way, your kidneys popped up on the x-ray, and there's something on your right kidney. It looks like it could be cancer. Get it checked out."
Oh my gosh. Wow.
Yeah. But I remember thinking, I had two opposing thoughts. One was, I need to figure this out.
Mm-hmm.
But then the other one was, well, this is my way out. This is my escape. I can let this, I don't have to tell anybody, and I can just let this cancer grow, and that'll be my way out.
Wow. Whew. That's a lot, man. I mean, in and of itself, the accident, but now you're facing possibly cancer. And, well, I want to take a quick break, and I want to kind of understand how you process that and where it took you, and hard story, man. I appreciate your vulnerability. And when we come back, we'll finish that conversation talking with Matt, and we'll be right back. Stick with us. Hey, friends, if you're looking for a meeting where you can face your hurts, hangups, and habits, and even broken relationships, please come see us on a Friday night. We meet at Fellowship Fayetteville, Celebrate Recovery, and Fellowship Rogers, Celebrate Recovery every single Friday night. We start at 6 p.m. for Connection Cafe meal, and our main meeting starts at 7 p.m. in the Student Center in Fayetteville and the Worship Center at Rogers. Come see us. We'd love to have you. fellowshipcr.org for more information. Welcome back, Matt. But before the break, you kind of just dropped a big bomb on the table, right? This you're dealing with the reality of two people being gone due to this car accident, and now these X-rays are showing what could be cancer. Can we just make sense of what? I mean, you're throwing a lot at us. I know this has been your story for a while, right, but our listeners are kind of taking this in, and it's kind of hitting me, and I can feel that in my body as you're bringing it in, just how heavy that is. But can you put some words to that? What was that place like for you, man? If that's not a good space to be in, what is that? If you're putting some words to what that place is like now as you reflect back on that.
The first word that comes to mind is hopeless. I just felt alone, but also kind of like I deserved it, maybe, and
maybe this is my punishment for what I did. Okay,
yes,
wow,
yes. I just alone and hopeless, and it again kind of confirmed. Well, see, you're the twin that this kind of thing happens to. You're the lesser one. That's why Uncle Larry did that, and that's why. And now this is happening, and now cancer, and why wouldn't it happen to me?
Wow.
So it was just that narrative. I deserve this. It's just kind of my lot in life, I suppose.
I can feel hopeless seems like a good fit for what you're experiencing. So all these events are just confirming what you believe about yourself, that I'm the lesser.
Right.
And maybe I'm just defective, and maybe this is just my destiny. And so you continue this path then of just trying under your own power. You're a believer, but maybe I'm too defective for Jesus. Or tell me how this interaction connects with your relationship with the Lord. This kind of contrast of being a believer, but believing that I'm too defective. And
I think up to this point, my relationship with the Lord was a kind of transactional in my head. So I need to do A, B, and C, and then God will be pleased with me.
kind of earn your love.
Yeah.
His love. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Earn love, earn grace, which is completely backwards.
Right.
But that was my mindset. And so I think when the accident happened, there was some how like there's kind of no coming back from this. I'm not sure what to do, where to go, and even can I trust the Lord? Like, why would He let this happen? I know there was some time of being angry at God because in my head it was, I'm just going on this thing. This is a totally innocent thing to go and get to know these parents, get to know these students and staff, and kind of a why would you allow this to happen, God? And especially to me, like I'm not some strong.
Yeah.
I was maybe strong on the outside, but emotionally, mentally, spiritually, I was just this weak little kid. And so it was like, God, why are you doing this? And can I even ask you that question? Can I trust you enough to answer that question? Or can I trust you enough to come to you with these feelings of anger and doubt and and whatever else I was feeling at the time? It was
Wow.
It was a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So was it cancer?
So yes, came back, confirmed that it was cancer, and I had surgery. Even that whole process was, part of the reason I even got the cancer confirmed or my kidney checked out was because the parents of the younger boy who died, which I can go into that, but I'll fast forward really quick, but they were every week, his mom, Amanda Kerrigan, would text me, "Hey, what's going on with your kidney? Hey, have you gotten your kidney checked out yet? What's going on? You better go get it checked out." So I did eventually there.
So can I stop you right there? Because
Yes.
that's got to be an interesting dynamic for you. It's like, why is she concerned with me? Right. I mean, how do you make sense of that?
Yeah.
And this woman is actually worried about you based on her own pain.
Right.
As you kind of bring me into this story, how do you make sense of that?
So I get discharged from the ER, and we're flying back eventually. And I remember a friend of these parents wanted to. He was on this plane with us, and he said, "Hey, Matt, the Kerrigans want to meet with you. I know they want to meet with you." And he just kind of said, "Give me your number." And anyway, we set up a meeting. So the accident happened on a Saturday morning, and that following Monday, Tuesday, I was at their house. My family had come down to Texas too, but so we were at their house, and on the way there, I just remember, I was sweating, and I just so anxious.
What was your fear? And that anxiety? What were you?
I just thought, I'm not sure what I'm supposed to say. I want to say I'm sorry, but I'm sorry is not weighty enough for the situation.
What do you say in a situation like that?
And I wasn't quite sure, other than him saying they want to meet with you. That was all I had. So in my head, it could have been, they want to meet with you, and they're gonna punch you in the face or whatever.
Yeah, the worst case.
They're gonna berate you, and so I just wasn't sure. I wasn't sure what my response should be. I wasn't sure what they were going to say.
Well, it makes sense too. I mean, that I deserve the worst punishment, right? And probably if they do punch me in the face, so to speak, right? And you probably weren't thinking that literally,
No.
but just that idea of, whatever they give me, I deserve based on what you were just describing.
Right.
That's, gosh, what a hard place, man.
Right.
Yeah, I'd be sweating too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that was my thought. I'm going to get yelled at, or they're going to make me feel bad, but they can't make me feel as bad as I already feel, So we get to the house, and there was a woman kind of keeping track of everybody that was coming and going, and my brother remembers this, but I told her my name, and she almost dropped her iPad, and they see that, Danny and Amanda Kerrigan, and they make a beeline for me. And I mean, arms are open. They come and just give me the biggest hug that anybody's ever given me,
Wow.
And they both forgave me and told me they loved me, and Danny prayed for all of us. And I have memories of crying and laughing, and they didn't want me to carry any shame or guilt. They knew it was an accident, and they kind of said, Bryce is with Jesus. We're sad that he's not here anymore, but we know where he is, and so we're not sad about that. And so that whole interaction was maybe a 15-minute interaction, and I can remember walking out the door, and we all just, our jaws were on the floor, and we're going, what just happened?
Disbelief. Yeah.
This is not at all what I expected. And even the other boy's mom, when I met with her eventually, she asked me a couple questions about Bob, and if I knew exactly what happened, and I just didn't. And she said, well, I don't know if I need to tell you this, but if you need to hear it, I forgive you. And, I was cried out at this point, but
wow.
That was the response from people. It's just like grace, right? Like what I felt I deserved was a lot of punishment, and maybe what I did deserve was punishment. Maybe, I even did a little bit of research, and it's like, I should have gotten some fines, maybe a little jail time. But what I got was grace and love and forgiveness, and it wasn't just a one-time thing. They reminded me of that often, whether I asked for it or not.
Yeah.
Which is, again, like,
wow.
God's grace is this ongoing thing. It's not like God says, all right, I forgive you. Here's grace this one day. But then we sort of do something to act outside of that. No, he's still going to extend grace every day, every hour.
Right.
And so they were just, it just flipped my view of God on its head, kind of, because I can't earn the Kerrigans and the Hensons love or favor after what I did.
Yeah.
But they're choosing to love and favor me anyway.
Yeah. What an incredible picture of grace. I'm just thinking about, justice. I deserve this. I deserve the worst, but mercy says, I'm not going to give you what you deserve. And grace has given us an undeserved gift.
Right.
What an incredible picture of grace. And even to hear those words, and it is I think of the prodigal son, just that open arms that you're describing. I'm coming home, and that embrace. And I love that you connected that with the grace that we receive from Jesus, that you need to hear this. I forgive you. Well, we're going to pause on this podcast and put this into a second part. What an incredible story, and too much to try to capture in one podcast. So we'll hit the pause button and pick up next week to turn the corner on what life change looks like in Matt's life. But I hope that you're hearing some parts of your story as you listen to Matt, to really capture your own story, and maybe be inspired to be honest about what's going on in your life to ultimately lead toward healing. Hey, thanks for being with us today, and I hope that you'll join us for part 2 of this at our next podcast. But as always, if you're looking for a safe space, come see us on Friday night, Celebrate Recovery Fellowship Fayetteville, Celebrate Recovery Fellowship Rogers. Go to fellowshipcr.org for more information. Come see us on a Friday night. Thanks for being with us. Until next time, God bless.